What are the key takeaways from the phone conversation between Presidents Xi and Trump?
Well, I think it went fairly well. I think remember back a few days ago, during the consultation between the Chinese side and the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, they pretty much work out the details of the TikTok deal, and USTR Jameson Greer explicitly said that it's up to the approval for the two leaders. And if you look at the post put out by President Trump, he explicitly says that he appreciates President Xi's approval. So I think this whole issue about TikTok is behind us. I think this is actually this is a great deal. Your programming has been showing on how important this application is to American people. And finally, TikTok is going to continue, and this thing is resolved smoothly. So I think it's a very big achievement. And on top of this, there are other issues they've discussed so far. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with respect to these other issues both great leaders have been talking about for some time.
And John, how do these talks fit into the broader trajectory of China-U.S. relations at this moment?
Yeah, well, I think President Trump said that the Sino-U.S. relationship is the most important bilateral relationship in the world right now, and both countries, the leaders of both countries, have the obligation to carry forward a good relationship. There are many issues to be covered. Again, I will refer to President Trump's post. The topics include fentanyl, for example, trade, and also the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. So all these issues are very important, but I think from Beijing's perspective, the most imperative issue is with respect to the trade issue right now, the tariff issue. But one thing I can sort of infer from the press release from the Chinese side is that there hasn't been much progress made or agreement made so far. Because if you look at the Chinese version of the event, President Xi mentioned the trade issue. Very little has been said about what President Trump said about the trade issue. That indicates to me that probably it's still under the negotiations, still underway. So I think the next step would be for both sides, the negotiation teams would be convening again to work out the details about how to reduce the tariffs. I think close to 50% tariff imposed by Washington on Chinese exports to the United States is still way too high. 20% of it is related to the fentanyl issue. This is this can be totally resolved, I think, with cooperation from both sides, particularly the Chinese side. And if that's the case, there's no reason for that 20% tariff to be in existence associated with fentanyl.
And John, what role do you think global issues such as security and technology and even the environment play in shaping the next phase of the relationship?
Well, I think America's foreign policy is undergoing a seismic change right now. President Trump has a very different view compared to the previous administration. I think, honestly, he is indeed withdraw a lot of its commitment in international organizations that are vital for global governance. And I think this is a transitional period. I think the two most powerful, important countries need to work out some kind of a compromise or some kind of arrangement such that we still have a rules-based order, still a rules-based international order. A lot of details have to be worked out, and on top of the bilateral issues, particularly pertaining to trade and investment. But I think one thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is indeed committed to peace, at least relatively speaking, compared with previous presidents of the United States. He doesn't want any war. he is indeed committed to maintaining a good relationship with China, and let alone to say that President Trump maintains a very good and cordial personal relationship with President Xi. So this is all good news for the relationship, and hopefully, these thorny issues I've been talking about will be worked out in the next few months.
John Gong, thank you for your time.